In the deep silence of space, far beyond the cold shadow of Pluto, and hidden behind layers of cosmic noise, a strange signal suddenly appeared so weak that even Earth's most advanced telescopes almost missed it, and yet so structured that, when Sentinel-9, the orbital defense AI stationed around Earth's dark side, picked it up, it did not classify it as background noise or a random star's pulse, but instead flagged it as intentional and unknown. At first, the signal was ignored by most Earth-based scientists, who believed it might be from a lost satellite echo or a drifting probe long forgotten. But when it repeated itself exactly 6 times every 11 minutes, and when that pattern began shifting in a way that resembled military positioning codes, the leaders of Earth's secret defense network, Skywall Command, were forced to take it seriously. Hidden in a massive base under Antarctica, where the frozen winds roared like ancient ghosts, General Mikhail Dorn stood quietly beside a massive holomap showing the solar system, his sharp eyes watching the blinking red dot slowly move closer toward the outer edge of Mars' orbit. And though there were no visible ships, no known transmissions, and no declaration of threat, the general knew from his decades of silence and war planning that sometimes real danger does not come screaming with fire. It comes quiet, and with a plan. While civilian news channels continued reporting about rising trade with Venus stations and Mars' recent mining boom, far away from public eyes, secret units were being activated. Orbital surveillance arrays were turned to full focus, and old protocols buried after the last near invasion 100 years ago were suddenly brought back online, reviewed, and approved under Level 0. Emergency clearance. It was during this preparation phase, just 2 days after the signal began, that a young cadet named Kira Solari, stationed at a lunar relay station orbiting Earth's far side, noticed something odd while doing a routine sensor sweep. A small distortion in space, like light bending around something invisible, and though the system reported no object present, the visual feed showed otherwise a ripple, unnatural and perfectly still. Sitting between Mars and Earth. Kira reported it immediately, but her commanding officer hesitated, unsure whether to raise a full alert or wait for confirmation. And in that hesitation, something moved. The ripple stretched slightly, shimmered, and then vanished. Later that night, Earth's outermost asteroid sensor, Station Echo 4, stopped transmitting. No explosion, no emergency beacon, just silence. The blackout triggered Earth's automated defense subroutine, called Ghost Shield, which scanned the last known positions of the station and found a strange energy spike 1 that did not match any known human engine type, but perfectly aligned with theoretical warp entry signatures discussed only in classified alien invasion planning documents. By the time General Dorn received this data, his face had grown pale, not from fear, but from recognition. "It's a scouting fleet," he muttered, staring at the data streams. "They're not here to talk. They're here to invade." Under direct orders, Project Skywall was fully activated. From deep within Earth's crust, from the ocean floor, and from black zones hidden behind the moon's shadow, massive power readings began to rise as ancient warships built in silence after humanity's last great space war started to awaken. These ships were not built for diplomacy. They were not made for rescue. They were designed for one purpose: only survival through domination. The Terran dreadnought, Judgment of Terra, silent for over 80 years, sent out its first pulse of life, and every sensor in orbit trembled. As its massive core recharged. At the same time, Earth's stealth satellites picked up faint, momentary bursts of radiation, at least 6 moving slowly between Mars and Earth, almost perfectly camouflaged, too perfect to be a coincidence. "They're cloaked," whispered Commander Aria Voss, Chief of Orbital Tactics, as she studied the data in the Skywall control room. "They think they're hunting us. But they don't know we've been waiting." And indeed, humanity had been waiting, not passively, not with hope, but with preparation, hidden fleets, and defensive layers that most of the galaxy had no idea even existed. Because Earth had learned one lesson long ago when the stars first showed signs of intelligent life. If you ever meet something more advanced than you, never let them strike first. The world's nations, once divided by greed and politics, had long since agreed in secret that if the stars ever brought war, humanity would rise as one and fight as one, under one flag, the black banner of Earth Defense Fleet, Dot. And now, for the first time in over a century, that banner had been raised again, Dot, as the unknown ships crept closer, still hidden, still silent. Earth made no announcement, gave no warnings, and issued no public statements, because this time, the plan was simple. Wait, watch, strike first, Dot, and as the red sun began to rise behind Earth's curved edge, far out in the void, where light travels slow and silence is dangerous, something massive moved unseen, and the war that hadn't even begun yet was already lost for the invaders. Dot, in the dark stretch of space between Mars and Earth, something moved slowly, quietly, and with a level of precision that no human ship had ever attempted. Because what was coming toward Earth was not made by human hands, had no voice humanity could understand, and carried no flag of peace or declaration of war, only the cold, calculated confidence of a species that believed itself far superior to anything that might resist. 6 alien ships, each shaped like a crescent blade, glided forward in a tight formation, their black hulls reflecting no light, absorbing every signal, and wrapped in energy fields that bent gravity and tricked sensors, making them almost invisible even to Earth's most advanced detection arrays. But unknown to them, Earth had changed. Since the last alien race tried to invade humanity, had learned to hide just as well. Dot, in a vast control center deep beneath the Himalayas, known only to a few top commanders as Echo Corps, General Dorn watched the distorted sensor images while Commander Aria Voss reported from her station, her voice calm but sharp as a blade. "There's movement again," she said, pointing to a visual distortion on the main screen. "But it's low energy. They're using a gravity-silent approach, very advanced." General Dorn nodded slowly, eyes narrowed. "They think we can't see them," he said. "Good. Let them keep thinking that." Back on the moon's far side, Cadet Kira Solari sat in silence inside her station, watching a blinking dot appear and disappear on her tactical display like a ghost crossing through reality. And even though her training told her to wait for confirmation, her instinct screamed that something terrible was coming, and that waiting would only make things worse. Dot, in a moment of quiet defiance, she bypassed standard protocol and opened a direct line to Echo Corps, whispering 2 words that chilled everyone who heard them. "They're here." At that same moment, thousands of kilometers above Earth, a communication satellite known as Orion X7 blinked twice and then vanished in a silent flash, as if it had never existed. There was no explosion, no energy trail, just sudden non-existence. It was the aliens' first strike, a test, a warning, and a message that said, "We can touch you. We are close." But what the aliens didn't know was that Orion X7 had been a decoy, a hollow shell placed in orbit decades ago exactly for this kind of attack. And the moment it was destroyed, an emergency signal was sent through hidden channels, activating Earth's first line of real defense, the Black Eyes Network. These were stealth drones, millions of them, disguised as space debris, meteors, or even abandoned satellites, but each one carried a sensor package, a targeting core, and a tiny reactor, allowing it to detect movement, track heat, and relay data faster than light across Earth's defense grid. Within seconds of Orion X7's destruction, the Black Eyes turned silently toward the region near Mars' orbit, locking onto the source of gravitational distortion. and began feeding targeting data directly to Earth's orbital railguns and heavy particle batteries, many of which had been silent since the end of the lunar wars, but now hummed with life once more. "They just lit the match, Commander," Arya said coldly, as the war table glowed red. "Now we show them the fire." General Dorn didn't smile. He simply said, "Begin Operation Stone Rain." High above the Earth's exosphere, panels slid open across old military satellites that had once been thought long decommissioned, and from inside them, kinetic projectiles massive. Rods of tungsten were released, dropping silently toward the enemy's approach path with no engines, no energy signature, and no warning. The first alien ship, cloaked and nearly invisible, didn't even realize it had been targeted until the tungsten spike tore through its left wing like a spear through glass, ripping the hull in half and sending it spinning off into darkness, its cloaking field collapsing in a blaze of blue light that lit up the void like a dying star. Inside the Echo core, the room fell silent for a moment as the wreckage appeared clearly on screen for the first time. "That's one," Dorn said. "Now let's count the rest." The other alien ships reacted instantly, spreading out, activating shields, and unleashing bursts of plasma fire into space. But there were no visible targets, nothing to strike, and every weapon they fired disappeared into empty space, because Earth's defenders had learned from centuries of war how to fight in the dark. A second kinetic rod struck another ship's core engine, causing it to detonate from within, while a wave of Earth's stealth drones swarmed. In the cold silence of space, where only darkness ruled and time seemed frozen, the remains of 4 alien ships floated like broken bones scattered across a battlefield, their twisted metal shells glowing faintly as Earth's secret weapons pulled back, silent and invisible once more. And even though Earth had not yet spoken a word to the enemy, its message had already echoed across the stars. "We see you, we are ready, and we are not afraid," while the world's people went about their daily lives, still unaware of the war that had already begun in orbit, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, inside a facility built long before the public ever learned of space warfare. The heart of Earth's true power began to beat again. A giant steel chamber opened slowly as the ocean waters around it boiled with released pressure. And from within, that ancient cradle, something massive and armored, rose from the depths. It was called the Judgment of Terra, a warship unlike any other, built in secret using lost technologies from the Titan research programs, armed with quantum shields, particle cannons, solar siphon drives, and an AI system so advanced it had been shut down once, simply because humans feared what it could do, without orders. But now, those fears no longer mattered. Now, Earth needed every weapon it had as the massive warship breached the ocean's surface under cover of night. Its hull opened slowly, revealing launch bays, weapon ports, and a glowing core reactor that pulsed with power older than most nations on Earth. It hovered silently over the Pacific, invisible to radar, cloaked in a magnetic field, and waiting for just one signal, the call to strike, high above, in Earth's Exo Defense Command Center. Admiral Rhea Kane stood in front of the orbital fleet board, watching green markers come online one by one, each one representing a hidden vessel, previously parked in secret orbit, deep space void pockets, or even inside the moon's hollowed-out mining tunnels. Ships that had never been seen by the public. Ships that had never been needed until now. Her voice, cold and calm, echoed through the command channel. "Bring them all online. Deploy the Titan-class Guardians. Ready the Black Sky Division." From South America's Andes base to Australia's silent desert hangars, massive doors opened, revealing launch silos that hadn't been used in 50 years. Humanity's forgotten weapons rising to the skies, like ancient beasts returning to a battlefield they once ruled. The Black Sky Division, Earth's elite Space Force fleet, launched in silent, sleek black cruisers, destroyers, and drone carriers ascending through low orbit, guided by advanced AI that could think faster than any living brain. Every ship activated under Project Skywall's final directive: secure orbit before contact. In the shadows near Jupiter's orbit, the remaining 2 alien ships from the original fleet watched the aftermath in disbelief. The enemy, they had been told, was primitive, weak, and slow, had destroyed their vanguard in less than 12 minutes. Their communication relay back to their home system was jammed. Their cloaking fields were now ineffective. And their ship's sensors picked up something terrifying: hundreds of ships rising from Earth and the Moon, forming formations far more organized and deadly than expected. One of the alien commanders, a reptilian being with blue scales and 4 glowing eyes, turned to his navigation officer and hissed, "This is not what we were told. They were not supposed to have a fleet." Back on Earth, inside the Judgment of Terra's bridge, Captain Mira Juno watched her systems light up, receiving feed from low-orbit satellites and real-time data from deep space. Scouts, the enemy was regrouping, and it was likely they were about to attempt a second strike, this time with heavier forces hidden behind their first wave. Should we wait for full confirmation? Her tactical officer asked. Myra shook her head slowly, eyes fixed on the screen showing the enemy position near Mars' orbit. "No," she said. "We don't wait. We move. This is Earth. We strike before they see Mars." The massive warship turned slowly in the upper atmosphere, engaging its silent drive engines, which folded gravitational space around it like a wave, launching it toward the outer system in less than a second, vanishing like a ghost across the stars. And as the ship disappeared, more followed. Earth's orbital defense grid was no longer silent. The war fleet had awakened. Across alien systems, old warning signals began to reappear in ancient computers, signals once feared, once believed extinct. 3 words blinked in crimson across one of the alien archives far away: Terran fleet detected. Far beyond the Moon, just past the orbit of Mars, where the light from the sun began to fade into the deeper blackness of space, the last 2 alien warships floated in complete silence, their scanners rotating constantly, looking for threats they no longer understood, because the beings they thought would run or kneel were now hunting them, and what they had once called prey had turned into a predator with no mercy left to give. Inside the larger alien vessel, known as the Rix Dominion flagship, the alien commander, Vihar Tal, paced across the glowing metal floor, his breathing uneven, his 4 eyes darting across the tactical displays that showed wreckage where his other ships once were. And in the center of the room, the war-planning AI flickered and whispered, in his own language, probability of Terran weakness 0.04%. Fleet formation detected, countermeasures required immediately. His claws tapped the metal, and his second-in-command stepped forward. "They shouldn't have this many warships," the officer growled. "They weren't ready for space war. They weren't even in the Galactic Index." Vihar Tal's voice was cold as ice. "We were wrong. Now we bleed for it." As the alien ships prepared a surprise second strike, believing they still had a chance to turn the battle, Earth's War Command had already laid a trap, not just in orbit, but deep beneath the surface of Mars' 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos, where ancient weapons had been buried decades ago: magnetic cannon platforms, cloaked energy mines, and small railgun satellites that had remained dormant until today. In Earth's orbital control center, Commander Arya Voss received the final update from Phobos Command: all ghost cannons online, targets locked, authorization pending. She didn't hesitate. Authorization granted. Fire on my mark. Far away, invisible guns turned toward Mars orbit, and just as the 2 alien ships began their slow approach to the inner solar system, believing they had located a blind spot in Earth's coverage, They entered the kill zone. First came silence. Then came stone rain. 100 kinetic rods dropped from cloaked satellites with no sound. No light, just pure speed and force, crashing into the smaller alien ship and tearing it apart mid-flight, shredding through armor that had never been tested against weapons that used gravity itself as fuel. The remaining alien flagship turned hard to avoid the wreckage, powering up shields and launching countermeasures. But it was too late. The Ghost. Cannons on Phobos fired magnetic beams that sliced through its engines, and within seconds, its warp core began to destabilize. Back on Earth, in a small monitoring station in Alaska, a junior operator named Lynn watched the energy spike rise on the screen and whispered, "They're breaking apart. They can't hold it together." Inside the alien ship, the lights failed and systems began to collapse as Viertal realized they had been drawn into a trap from the beginning. Their every move anticipated, their pride used against them, and their defeat delivered without warning. His final message was meant as a warning to his homeworld. Do not come here. Earth is not what we believed. They are not prey. They are hunters wearing a human face. And then the screen went black. No energy. No transmission. No survivors. Earth had destroyed the entire advance fleet of the Rix Dominion before the invaders had even seen the Martian surface, before they had even touched a single moon. But the war was not over, because humanity had intercepted a hidden signal, an emergency ping sent just before the last alien ship died, one that revealed something terrifying. This was only the first wave. There were more coming, and now Earth knew exactly where they were coming from. In the command room, Admiral Rhea Kane turned toward her fleet captains and said 5 words that changed everything. Prepare Operation Black Horizon. We're taking the fight to them. A ripple of silence followed. Humanity had never attacked beyond its own solar system. But now, with the element of surprise and their enemy in shock, Earth had the chance to end the threat before it reached their gates again. From the shadows of the moon, the Titan warships powered up their jump drives. From hidden cities beneath the Arctic ice, soldiers in exo-armor walked toward dropships. And in Earth's orbit, the judgment of Terra turned toward the stars, already locking onto the distant coordinates where the alien home fleet waited. They had come to Earth thinking it was an easy victory, but they didn't understand one truth. Earth was never weak. It was simply waiting. And now it was angry. In the cold vacuum beyond Neptune's orbit, where even sunlight reached only as a whisper, the stars seemed peaceful, silent, distant, and eternal. But somewhere in that vast darkness, space began to bend, light began to twist, and reality seemed to crack for a brief second as a massive ripple appeared, like a wound opening in the universe itself. And out of that dark gate came a ship shaped like vengeance. The judgment of Terra, Earth's most powerful warship, had jumped beyond the solar system faster than light, driven by dark energy cores and gravitational folding drives so secret even Earth's allies didn't know they existed. And as it slowed to real space, its sensors spread like a web, searching not just for enemy ships, but for the very heartbeat of the Rix Dominion itself. Inside the ship, Captain Myra Juno stood still on the bridge, surrounded by light screens and tactical AI, her eyes calm, her voice low as she gave orders without needing to raise her tone, because she knew every person on board had trained for this moment. They, Earth, would not wait for war to come to it, but would carry war to the doorstep of those who had dared to strike first. Is the fleet aligned behind us? She asked. Yes, Captain, her XO replied. The Titan-class destroyers are exiting Jump 1 by one silent hammer. Midnight Lance and Wraith Call are all holding position. And our drones? Ghost Swarm is deployed and cloaked. We are watching everything within 20 light minutes. Captain. Mira nodded once. Good. Let's find the ones who thought we were too soft to fight back." At that same moment, in a hidden star system 2 jumps away, the Rix Dominion fleet was gathering hundreds of ships in orbit around a massive starbase carved into a black moon, its surface glowing with red veins. Its towers rising like claws around a central spire where command centers hummed with alien voices and warriors trained endlessly for more waves of invasion. But now, they were not preparing to invade Earth. They were preparing to respond, because the death of their first wave had caused panic among the Council, and even their most trusted strategists could not explain how a primitive world like Earth had destroyed an entire fleet without losing a single ship. "We underestimated them," said Supreme Admiral Karnax, his armored form towering over the command table, his voice deep and layered with rage. "No," replied the seer mind beside him, her eyes glowing with psychic light. "We did not underestimate them. We forgot them." Her voice trembled slightly, as if something older than logic moved behind her thoughts. "There are powers in that system-ancient fire buried under time, and they have awakened it." Just then, alarms screamed across the base. Sensors flared. The lights dimmed out, and across every scanner on the Black Moon, the Terran fleet appeared. First came the judgment of Terra, its gravity ripple collapsing into an explosion of blue energy as its cannons powered up and locked onto alien war cruisers in orbit. Then came Silent Hammer, firing rail slugs the size of buildings from the shadows of a nearby asteroid. And then came the Ghost, swarm a million AI-controlled drones, too small to track, too fast to target, and too many to stop. The battle began in silence, but within seconds, the Rix Dominion base turned into a storm of chaos, its ships scrambling to form defenses, their shields failing under sustained kinetic fire, and their command systems screaming warnings as Terran weapons punched through armor with ease. Human warships didn't just shoot to disable, they shot to end. In the middle of the chaos, Earth's stealth corvettes began landing troops on the surface of the Black Moon elite squads wearing phase armor, suits powered by micro-black holes, capable of bending light and absorbing plasma fire. And as they charged into the dark halls of the alien command center, the walls shook, the corridors burned, and the terrified defenders realized they were not fighting soldiers. They were fighting ghosts. Inside the central spire, Supreme Admiral Karnax watched the human assault unfold, unable to believe what he was seeing. An enemy that moved too fast, struck too hard, and never paused for negotiation or surrender. "These are not the humans of the past," he whispered. And then the ceiling exploded, and Captain Mira Juno stepped through the smoke with her strike team, her armor glowing, her weapon aimed directly at the Rix leader. "You sent your fleet to Earth," she said slowly. "We came to return the favor." Karnax tried to reach for his blade, but Myra fired first. And just like that, the war turned. The Black Moon, once the Rix Dominion's most secure starbase, now shook like a dying beast, its armored walls cracking, its power grid failing, and its once proud warships turning into burning wrecks, all while Earth's fleet circled like wolves around a fallen titan, striking with calm precision, showing no fear, no mercy, and no hesitation, because this was not just a response. This was a warning written in fire. Never come for Earth again. Inside the command tower, Captain Mira Juno and her strike team moved through the smoke-filled corridors, stepping over fallen alien bodies, watching fire race along the walls as the facility's core began to melt down. And with every step, they knew they were deeper inside the heart of enemy territory than any human had ever gone before. But they didn't stop, because their mission wasn't just to survive. It was to send a message that would echo across every corner of the galaxy. Behind her, Sergeant Lennox planted a series of deep core fusion charges against the walls. "These will collapse the command center and detonate the reactor chamber," he said through his helmet. "We've got 10 minutes, Max." Mira nodded, eyes fixed on the glowing alien interface in front of her. This was the main tactical relay, the one that connected this base to every Rix outpost across 12 nearby systems. And if they destroyed it, the Dominion would lose communication for months, maybe longer. Her fingers moved across the screen, downloading every file, every plan, every piece of information about the Rix fleet movements, hidden colonies, and secret backup war fleets, that everything Earth needed to win the war got outside. In orbit, the judgment of Terra floated above the burning moon like a steel god. It's massive, cannons glowing hot from use, its hangar bays releasing wave after wave of drones and heavy gunships, while the rest of the Titan fleet spread into position, cutting off every path of escape, every signal, and every possibility of reinforcement. The Rix ships that tried to run were hunted down. The ships that stayed to fight were shredded in silence. There were no negotiations. No talks, just silence and fire. In the alien command chamber, Mira pulled out the drive as the download completed. A holographic display flickered to life, showing distant planets, strange symbols, and one terrifying discovery. A Rix colony near the edge of the Sagittarius Rift, where something even they feared was hidden, something they had locked away long ago, labeled only as Forbidden's Vault, origin of Earthfire. Myra frowned. "What is Earthfire?" Lennox looked at the screen, then at her. Whatever it is, they were afraid of it. Before they could think more, the alarms reached their final stage. Reactor overload imminent. Myra tapped her comm. "All teams evac now." Across the moon, human forces withdrew fast-boarding transports, jetting into orbit, racing against the growing quake below them. The moment the last human soldier lifted off the surface, the fusion charges detonated deep inside the base, and a second later, the core exploded. A silent flash, a growing white sphere. Then a thunderous wave of broken stone and fire surged out into space, sending debris flying in every direction. From the bridge of the Judgment of Terra, the crew watched the explosion in silence. The largest Rix base in this region gone. The tactical officer turned to Mira, who had just returned, and stepped back onto the bridge. "All units accounted for, Captain. Operation Black Horizon is complete." Mira stared at the burning remains on the screen, then at the stars beyond it. "No," she said quietly. "It's not complete. Not yet." She held up the drive. "There's more." They were hiding something. Something ancient. Something connected to Earth. Back at Earth Command, Admiral Kane received the report. Her hands trembled as she read the decrypted files. Earth had always believed the Rix invaded out of arrogance, but this data revealed something far older. The Rix had once discovered something human, long ago, something from a past even Earth had forgotten. A weapon? A secret? A lost history? Whatever it was, it had frightened the Rix so much that they built starbases to guard against it, and now Earth had the location. The war had started with an invasion, but now it was turning into a hunt for forgotten truth. Earth didn't just want peace anymore. It wanted answers, and the next battle would not be in defense. It would be for something lost, something called Earthfire. AR beyond the edge of known space, near the black clouds of the Sagittarius Rift, where suns were swallowed by dust and light struggled to shine. A forgotten planet orbited a dead star, its surface cracked and burned, its atmosphere toxic, and its history erased from every map in the galaxy. But deep beneath its crust, buried inside ancient ruins older than any known civilization, something still pulsed like a sleeping heart, and its name was written in both fear and awe by those who once tried to hide it. Earthfire. The Rix. Dominion had called it Forbiddance. They had built bases around it. They had erased its coordinates from the galactic network. And yet, the humans had found it. They had followed the trail, broken the codes, and now stood on the edge of a mystery that even their enemy feared too much to approach. Captain, Mira Juno looked out the viewport of the Judgment of Terra, watching the cursed planet spin slowly beneath them, its skies red and broken, its surface marked by glowing lines that formed a forgotten language, one that even their I couldn't fully translate. Her ship hovered with the rest of Earth's Titan fleet, while orbital drones scanned the terrain below, searching for the source of the power signature they had found in the Rick's data. "We shouldn't be here," whispered Commander Lennox beside her. "Even the Ricks didn't dare land." Myra didn't turn her eyes from the glass. "That's exactly why we must." With that, she stepped away from the command deck and entered the dropship, joined by her elite strike team, each soldier trained, not just for war, but for unknown threats, for ancient traps, for tech too powerful to understand and too dangerous to leave behind. As they descended through the thick atmosphere, lightning flashed around them, and the sky roared like a creature in pain, but Myra didn't flinch. Even as the sensors showed strange energy patterns below, pulsing shapes, unnatural structures, and a strange rhythm, like a heartbeat trapped in stone, the dropship landed near a massive ruin, half buried in ash and metal, shaped like a hand. Reaching from the ground, the air was poisoned. The gravity was wrong. And yet, the place felt human. The team moved through the ruins, scanning walls, reading fragments, watching holograms flicker to life, showing glimpses of Earth's ancient past images, of people, of cities, of ships so massive they dwarfed even the Judgment of Terra. And at the center of the structure, a door. One, sealed with symbols that glowed when Mira approached. DNA confirmed. The structure spoke in English. "Welcome, child of Terra." The door opened slowly. Inside, they found a chamber of fire, not flame, but energy blue-white. Light swirling in midair, contained inside a crystal prison, humming with power. And in the center floated a humanoid figure, half machine, half energy, surrounded by floating machines shaped like stars and moons. The AI scanned the being. Biodata unknown. Power level immeasurable. Warning: this entity is alive. Myra stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked. The figure's eyes opened. "I am the last protector of Earthfire," it said, its voice both digital and human. "You are not supposed to find me. Not yet." Myra didn't step back. Earth. I was born from it, the being said. I was made when your kind first walked the stars, when Earth ruled, not hid. The Ricks feared what we created here, so they buried it. Mira raised her voice. "Why?" "Because Earthfire is more than a weapon. It is memory. It is identity. It is everything humanity once was, and could be again." Behind her, the walls began to glow. Images filled the chamber of Earth's first fleets conquering space, of humans with knowledge so deep it could bend time, of a war that ended with a promise: hide Earth, sleep the fire, return when needed. And now that fire had been awakened. The protector looked at Myra. "You have come too soon, but perhaps just in time." Suddenly, alarms blared. Above orbit, Rick's warships, hundreds, dropped from hyperspace, surrounding Earth's fleet. Had followed Earth. They had come to stop what they feared would rise again. Captain. Mira tapped her. "Come. All ships form shield wall. We hold them here. No one touches this world." The battle in orbit exploded with light missiles, railguns, particle beams, a storm of fury. But Earth's fleet fought like one mind, one purpose, one people defending the spark of a future that could change everything. And on the surface, Earthfire responded. Its prison cracked. The protector's form brightened. And then it vanished, fusing with Myra's armor, flooding her systems with knowledge, memory, power. She rose above the ground, eyes glowing like stars. Earth had not just remembered. It had returned. The sky cracked, the ricks screamed, and humanity burned its name back into the stars. Asterisk. What would you do if you were a commander? Write in the comments.